welcome to Book Lounge by Libby. My name is Joe, and I am so happy you're here. Today is that magical time of the month where we look at the books that are releasing in the upcoming month, mere days away, and tell you what we are taking and stealing and putting on our TBR. It's also Pride Month because it is about to be our June 2026 book picks. Can't believe we're there already. If you like my rainbow Libby shirt, plotthreadshop.com, all of the profits go to the American Library Association. Anyway, enough plugging shameless things. My guest today is incredible, a dear friend, and the creator of the Queer Liberation Library. Kieran, thank you for being here today.
Hello, thank you for having me.
For the people who don't know yet, tell them about Quill, aka, well, I guess that's the aka, the Queer Liberation Library that we affectionately call Quill.
Yeah, so Quill, Queer Liberation Library, QLL, all interchangeable names that are valid and understandable, is an online library where we prioritize and only select queer literature, and it's available to everybody in the US. All you have to do is go to our website and become a member, and then you get access through, shocker, Libby. And you can look at, there's just a huge collection of queer-focused resources. We have fiction, we have nonfiction, we have poetry, we have like reference materials, we have like research materials. It's really cool. There's a lot there, and we are trying to make it so that everybody who wants to access these queer materials in the US, while we're sort of in a weird time,
in a
making
time
sure
for
that
sure.
access doesn't go away.
Absolutely. And you are a nonprofit group. You are donation
Yes.
forward. As thanks for being on this episode, the podcast has donated $100 to Queer Liberation Library. That, of course, will be linked in the description, so you can find out more. You can visit queerliberationlibrary.org. Consider making a donation if that's something you're able to do. I am lucky and happy to be able to do that. So yeah, check it out.
We really appreciate it.
Oh, please. Like that, it's the least I can do. Thank you for taking the time today, but also for making sure that our stories get told. You have also a strong focus on audiobooks. So there's also a really great balance, again, of just like access models that are important for people to be able to enjoy storytelling.
Totally. We're prioritizing various ways for people to get access, various accessibility models, and it's just it's a joy to work on. So I love doing it, and so thank you for letting me share more about it here.
Oh, always. Before we dive into our titles, June being Pride Month, and this is coming out, I think, on the 29th, so it's only a few days away, you are starting a donation drive for your goal for 2026 is beginning?
Yes. We have an annual fundraiser that happens during the Pride Month, because that's when everybody's fired up.
Yes.
And it's sort of our baseline funding for the next year coming. We do some grants, and we get some funding from other places, but the annual fundraiser really is our baseline for funding for the following year. So this year, we are sort of leaning into some heated rivalry related jokes for our
Love
theme. I won't say more, but so you can get excited. But our day one is June 1st, and we are trying to hit a very ambitious goal this year.
Yes, a very ambitious goal of $69,000. I will say it so you don't have to. Let's help them hit that goal. Like, come on. We want to see it. Make sure you are checking out the website and following Quill on Instagram. You can see updates there as well. All of that linked in the notes. Well, Kieran, should we dive in? Should we get to it?
Let's get on to it.
So my first pick, the summer is maybe when I am most obnoxious because there are three things that I want: slashers, gay, and graphic novels. They don't all have to combine together, but when they do, wow. So queer books are important to me year round, but especially in Pride Month, I'm like, now I've got an excuse to read nothing but So
Mhm.
my list today will be a blend of all of those things. Not every pick will fall into all of them, but quite a few will. So my first pick is Slasher Summer by E.L. Chen. This comes out on the 23rd. It's a campy love letter to the slasher films of the 1980s. Seven friends reunite for a weekend of fun, only to be hunted down by a cold-blooded killer. But the real horror is not being able to escape who you were in high school. The sleepy town of Cedar Lake is best known as the shooting location of the campy 80s horror flick Slasher. In high school, Preppy Patrick, Jock Jason, Cheerleader Tiffany, Stoner Freddy, Goth Jennifer, and Nerdy Mikey had played the cast of Slasher during midnight showings, with Virginal Carey as the final girl, of course. Years later, the friends reunite at the remote cabin where Slasher was filmed. They've changed since high school. Carrie found a boyfriend, Patrick came out, Mikey bulked up, and well, Freddy's still stoned, and they're looking forward to a weekend to catch up. But when the night falls and the eponymous masked killer is spotted, the reunion takes a deadly turn. The friends discover their tires deflated and the phone lines disconnected. Remember when there were lines for phones? And soon they're being stalked by a mysterious assailant. Is someone trying to make their slasher experience as authentic as possible? One thing is for sure, before the night is over, they each will have to take on the role they thought they'd left behind. So again, that is Slasher Summer by E.L. Chen, and that will be out June 23rd.
Is that one a graphic novel or is it
That one is just a novel.
just a mere novel? I'm
that
so
one-
sorry, E.L. Chen. That's not what I mean.
so sorry, E.L. Chen. But that one hits the like, ooh, we've got a gay character and
Yeah.
we get a slasher, and that's
It
my
just
dream.
sounds so visual. I was like
Right.
very excited about it.
I'm hoping that like, oh, it'll see so much like gorgeous success, and then we'll get all sorts of adaptations.
Yes.
Because like, I know the kids might say reheating nachos, but I think that's how genres work. We have to lean into the tropes, and I am such a sucker for that like gas pedal to the floor amount of leaning into tropes.
I'm going to begin my list with an honorable mention that I absolutely refuse to not mention, even though it is technically a May release. So my apologies to everyone. I'm breaking the rules and you're going to have to handle it because I'm obsessed with this book that is coming out in May. So for me, it's still not out yet, but it will be by the time this comes out. And that is The Fake Divination Offense by Sarah Rash. And I am obsessed with her, first of all. Love all of her books. Check her out. But to give you, it's a sequel to her Entanglement of Rival Wizards that came out last year. And so for that one, Auroch Monroe, half-giant, raw-ball defensive tank on the Philadelphia Hellhounds, follower of Urzoth, only Auroch's tired of following the god of aggression. Alexo Warden, cheerleader, human, question mark? A dancer with a stadium's worth of secrets. When Auroch saves Alexo at a bar, fans go feral for the star athlete protecting the pint-sized dude in distress. The Hellhounds propose that Auroch and Alexo start a PR relationship and put a positive spin on Auroch's god. Auroch is set to refuse and renounce Urzoth, but that wouldn't let him see Alexo again. So, like a sap, he agrees. Fake relationship, sports romance, with a twist of like D&D magic sort of thrown in as like flavor. Like it's important and relevant, but not necessarily like it's fantasy but light. It's so
Right.
good.
It's like definitely that cozy fantasy, which makes it
Yes.
so my speed. But sports, romance, cozy like they said, we're going to take all the things
Every
hot
trope.
right now, throw them together. I can get into fake dating, so I'm here for that. That'll be fun.
What kills me is that she was writing this before the heated rivalry craze. Like this was planned for like a year before that even happened.
And
So.
I love that because that to me lets I know a lot of the listeners and watchers know that sports romance was always hot and a thing and going. But for those of you who are new because of Connor's story, welcome. We done been here. So
So real.
We're here for it. My next pick, this is where I get full-on graphic novel. It's an adaptation of an incredible book. This is the graphic novel of Mr. Magic by Kirsten White, adapted by Scott Peterson and illustrated by Veronica and Andy Fish. This will be out June 9th. I could not believe they were doing a graphic novel adaptation of this, because I feel like this is the first time I've seen like such a recent adaptation, especially like in this genre, but I'm here for it. If you don't know the story of Mr. Magic, if it's been on your TBR, I'm here to tell you either way, pick it up, read it, listen to it, check out the graphic novel. We're here for it. But this follows basically like a group of public access children's show children 30 years after a tragic accident shut down the production of their classic program, Mr. Magic. The 5 surviving cast members have done their best to move on. But just as generations of cultishly devoted fans still cling to the lessons they learned from the show, the cast, known as the Circle of Friends, have spent their lives searching for the happiness they felt while they were on it. The friendship, the feeling of belonging, and the protection of Mr. Magic. But with no surviving video of the show, no evidence of who directed or produced it, and no records of who or what the beloved host actually was, memories are all the former Circle of Friends has. Then a twist of fate brings the castmates back together at the remote desert filming compound that feels like it's been waiting for them all this time, even though they haven't seen each other for years. They understand one another better than anyone ever has since. After all, they're the only ones who hold the secret to the circle, the mystery of the Magic Man and his infinitely black cape, and maybe the answers to what really happened on that deadly last day. But as the Circle of Friends reclaim parts of their past, they begin to wonder, are they here by choice, or have they been lured into a trap? Because magic never
Ooh.
forgets the taste of your friendship.
Ooh, creepy. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. So that's the graphic novel adaptation of Mr. Magic by Kirsten White. It's an
If
incredible
Mr.
book.
Rogers were creepy.
I mean, literally, it's somewhere if you combine like Zoom and Mr. Rogers. Yeah.
I love Zoom.
Same. ZWM box 350, Boston, Mass. Just burned in there. 02134. I hope I didn't just send someone to a PO box that's probably no longer
Dead.
watched.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore.
WGBH Boston, what won't you do? But yeah, so I'm super excited for this one. I love graphic novels, as we know, but this was also an incredible book. And it was one I'm ashamed to say was like on my TBR forever. And then in the last like 6 months or so, I finally listened to it, and it was everything I wanted it to be and then some. So I'm really, this to me is like one part, I'm just a fan and I'm happy to check out the new adaptation, and the other part of just like, I'm really curious to see how it's being done. So, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like for me, if I were going to read that, I would want to read the book first.
I
Just
agree.
to like, I feel like I would want to see the adaptation after already knowing the material, personally.
I agree with that. I think if you are if you haven't read Mr. Magic yet, I would do that before the adaptation. But hey, June 9th, not too far away.
Indeed. Plenty of time to read several books.
Oh, without a doubt.
Unquestionably. Okay, so my first actual June pick is Puck by Samantha Allen, which comes out on June 2nd. And this is, so I'm not a big fan of like fairy tale retellings, but I am a fan of a Shakespeare retelling. Love that.
Fair. Yes.
So this one is Meet Puck, the non-binary 30-year-old mastermind behind Homewreckers, a dating show that puts troubled couples through hell with a little help from their exes. Used to being the one pulling the strings, it shocks Puck when their life undergoes a plot twist of its own, and their college roommate, Mia, announces her engagement to her ex's best friend, Damon. Having only recently broken up with longtime boyfriend Xander and never having had much in common with Damon, who lovesick Lena has always pined after, Mia's news leaves her friend group reeling and Puck's mind whirling. Midsummer Night's Dream redone to like modern queer TV show AU.
Yeah. Like The
Obsessed.
Shakespeare, like the Love Island version of Shakespeare.
Yes,
That
exactly. Which now that you said that, wow, I need that in my life all the time.
I mean, so appealing. Like
Yes.
I am such a sucker for uh any time that we are taking, I think like I've been a YouTube kid. Forget what the kids today are saying, they're YouTube kids and iPad babies. I was a YouTube kid. 2006 dial up, sat watching Smosh succeed from day one. Like,
Hell yeah.
I am that YouTube kid. So I think anytime where I see traditional media like close the gap. So I think this is the same thing of just kind of like, oh, seeing publishing take their spin on, like reality TV. I know that's not quite the same thing, but still that merger. And I think we're seeing a lot of these reality TV show trope elements or just like
Yes.
straight up reality TV shows across all genres. Thinking of like
Mhm.
The Compound, so I think it's really fun, just
I
different.
agree. I also really love that, like, we're getting A Midsummer Night's Dream straight up from Puck's perspective. That'll be
Yes.
fun. Just because Puck is chaos. Puck is, you
Yeah.
know, chaotic neutral. So it should be really a fun main character and perspective to be in, while also getting to sort of move through a familiar story from a new perspective.
And again, more Shakespeare retellings, reimaginings that aren't
More
Romeo and
Shakespeare.
Juliet.
Yes.
That's my
Honestly,
that's
just
my
more of the
hot caveat.
comedies.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need another Macbeth right now. We're
No.
good. Let's do something fun.
We don't need another Macbeth. We don't need another Romeo and Juliet. But The
We really
Tempest?
don't need
Give me
another
that.
Hamlet.
No, don't.
Yes.
Well,
I'll always soapbox for Twelfth Night. That one's my favorite.
oh, incredible. I mean, yes.
Yes, it's
My,
beautiful.
I think I don't have like a good transition from that, but
Go for it.
it's definitely fitting for Pride Month because my next pick is The Disaster Gay Detective Agency by Lev AC Rosen. Um, I was sold when I saw the title, and then when I saw the cover, I was like, oh, absolutely. This will be out June 2nd. From award-winning, critically acclaimed crime writer Lev Rosen comes a punchy, hilarious mystery thriller. Meet the disaster gays. They're messy, they're queer, and they're about to solve a murder or die trying.
Beautiful.
Brandon is a hopeless romantic. So when a handsome stranger named John checks in at the hotel he works at and invites Brandon to his room, Brandon ignores the advice of his crew, a group of lovable and messy queer 20-somethings, and accepts. What follows is a tale as old as time. They hook up, John promises to text, Brandon falls in love, and John ghosts. Case closed. Or is it? When John checks out early, leaving behind a bag of belongings and his cell phone, Brandon takes the phone and sets out to find him, thinking that this must be his Cinderella story. But he gets more than he bargained for when he witnesses a murder and John fleeing the scene. Determined and not in over their heads whatsoever, Brandon, Ollie, Nicole, and Ian decide to solve the mystery of the murder and uncover John's true identity. Just have to figure out before a target falls on their own backs. So again, that is
Ooh.
The Disaster Gay Detective Agency by Lev AC Rosen, out June 2nd.
That's fun. That sounds very Scooby-Doo. I love it.
Yes, I'm very Scooby-Doo coded. I'm a sucker for like a murder mystery thriller kind of vibe.
With some camp thrown in, of course.
Oh, camp all the way down. My top
Beautiful.
picks are Murder, She Wrote, and Scooby-Doo. I think we know what I'm here
Wow.
for.
Agreed. Feel it. I feel it. My next one is very much along those lines in terms of camp and perfect for Pride. It is 25 Days in Athens by Jack Strange, which comes out on June 5th. So this is a summer holiday romance for fans of Casey McQuiston, M.A. Wardell, and Alexis Hall, which also boyfriend material just got optioned for a TV show that's going to be amazing. But this is about a lovely summer romance. Okay. In the sun-soaked street of Athens, Will might find that his love story might not be the one he's expecting. 3 years ago, Will turned down Ollie's proposal. Now, he's been invited to his ex's wedding in Greece. the very place they once dreamed of saying I do. Faced with the consequences of his decision all those years ago, Will has 25 days to figure out whether to tell Ollie that he made a mistake. But a chance encounter with his childhood friend Sam, who just happens to be impossibly handsome, complicates everything. Against the stunning backdrop of ancient ruins and vibrant nightlife, Will must confront his past, his desires, and the true meaning of love. It just sounds.
It's the vibe.
It's a vibe.
I mean, come on. Summer, maybe not rom-com, but rom-com adjacent, like that.
I think it'll be mostly rom-com by the end.
Yeah, it doesn't sound to me from that description. I mean, we know nothing about it other than what you just shared. It sounds to me like yes, it's romance, but it's going to be leaning into the comedy elements rather than just like a sweeping dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like a book to me that's going to give just like it's going to be so fun to read. Just so much fun from start to finish. And I personally really love the specific like Athens backdrop. I've been lucky enough to travel to Greece, and it's a beautiful, wonderful place. So for me, it's a little bit like, remember going there? Remember how cool that was?
Yes.
I love travel in books as well in general. So like I love to really locate a story in a place, because that becomes part of the story and part of the character of the book itself.
And the idea that it's not like, oh, this is like, yes, it's set there, but this person is a visitor in the location versus just like, oh, yes, this is happening in Greece and we're always here. Like, right. The travel is an important part of the story.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I'm a sucker for any time they just really hit me with something gay. And honestly, it's for everyone. But what's gayer than disco?
Nothing.
Thank you. My next pick is The Disco at the End of the World. I love that the tagline is "Your disco needs you," because camp, hit me with it. This is by Nathan Tavares, and this will be out June 16th. It is an exhilarating and riotously entertaining science fiction romance blending queer counterculture, joy as resistance, and banging disco hits, perfect for readers of Kayleen Bradley, Vihara Chandrasekhar, and Victor Manibo. So we're in 1977, a world in which America launched its space program shortly after World War II. Mitch Ward followed Flynn, the lost love of his youth, into the U.S. Space Guard. Now he's stuck on a backwater moon base with his only friend, Gloria, watching every shuttle in hope Flynn will be on it. After an inexplicable encounter with a strange, euphoric being, Mitch and Gloria find themselves dishonorably discharged and stuck with no plans and no future in a USA rapidly sliding into fascism. There's nothing for it but to move to Los Angeles to chase their dreams and find their people in the discos of the city. But when Flynn crashes back into their lives, claiming to be a host for an emissary of a utopian civilization approaching Earth, he offers Mitch the power to protect himself and friends across the queer community, so they never have to live in the shadows or face oppression again. With the world on the brink of cataclysm and Mitch and his friends being squeezed out of every space, it's down to this community of disco-loving outcasts to stand up for what is beautiful and right. So again, that is The Disco at the End of the World by Nathan Tavares, out June 16th.
I'm so curious about if Flynn is going to be a good guy or a bad guy with that description.
Right? I also just love, I love this kind of alternate history, or like
I love those, yeah.
Revisionist history, but in complete fiction sense, because it feels dangerous to say now. Revisionist history, but yes. You know, there's something to me of like my route to sci-fi, because y'all, I am getting better, but I have to find these like sneaky ways into it that has to hit me with my magical realism, my graphic novels, like the genres and subgenres that I love, where science fiction is very much underpowered by the other genres represented.
I'm there with you. I'm not good at sci-fi, especially in books. I like a sci-fi show or a sci-fi movie as long as it's not too hard science-y. I lean on fantasy in the general sense, but like there's always something that hits just right. You can always find the right sci-fi for you.
Exactly. And I continue to test my boundaries and limits on what my sci-fi threshold is, because I love me some Star Trek, but it is really hard to do with books, because there's there's so much more room on the page than there is on the screen. And it can become, depending on where you find yourself,
Mhm.
like in the same ways that I much prefer cozy fantasy over actual fantasy. It's the same thing. Once we get a little too heavy handed in the descriptions,
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
I'm gone.
Once we're doing Charles Dickens talking about the grain of the wood,
Uh
we're
huh.
done.
Exactly. Once we're talking about the road, uh,
Oh, boy. It's cobblestone and dusty at the same time somehow.
somehow, and yet,
Yeah. Alright, my next one is also, dare I say, super gay. It is
in Pride
nonfiction
Month,
in Pride Month, and it is in fact super gay, a memoir by Frankie Grande. So I love that clip from Amy Poehler's podcast where Ariana Grande talks about Frankie coming out to their grandmother.
yes.
And for that reason alone, I want to read this book because it just sounds so like their family sounds hilarious. I am Ariana Stan forever, love her. So here's sort of the general stuff here is not all heroes wear capes, some wear glitter. Frankie Grande always knew he was different. He just didn't know it was his superpower. Growing up glittery in a grayscale world, he found refuge in the fantasy realms of rainbow belts, telepathic mutants, and intergalactic girl bosses. Looking at you, Rainbow Bright. But behind the show tunes and sparkles was a lonely boy fighting big, scary feelings about identity, addiction, abandonment, and belonging. In Supergay, Frankie turns his hot mess history into comic book canon, reframing every heartbreak and hard moment as part of a campy, chaotic, deeply human hero's journey. With outrageous honesty and unapologetic humor, he tells the story of how a fabulous queer nerd learned to stop hiding, start healing, and fully embrace the power of being too much. This isn't just a memoir, it's a Technicolor call to arms for anyone who's ever felt weird, othered, or alone. Because in a world that wants you to tone it down, the bravest thing you can do is turn the volume all the way up.
I think you have found the gayest book for the month.
I'm so, well,
And I love that. Yeah,
Frankie Grant.
exactly. Exactly. I'm like,
I'm
I,
so thrilled.
all you had to say was Frankie Grande, and I'm like, and you win.
Gay.
I
Just,
also was fully ready to believe you when you said glitterally that he would have written that on the back of his book.
oh, yeah, that was just,
I
I
know.
should
It was,
probably
no,
trademark that actually.
I think you should before he can.
Yeah.
Quick.
Glitterally.
Glitterally. Although I'm sure Ariana's probably got that because there's going to be a Rem Beauty shade.
She deserves it.
She's got enough money. You can have one copyright. You can have one trademark, Kieran, as a treat.
Thanks.
Well, as I said, I'm always trying to push my boundaries, especially in reading seasons for me, like the summer when I will read, like I read graphic novels year round, but in the summer I'm reading such a high volume that that's my chance to be like, I'll read just about any graphic novel. So that's my push. This one's not a graphic novel, but the same thing of like, this is also where I'm like, oh, I'm reading queer books. Take me to whatever church we're in. I will sit and listen and see if like I found the right spice, if I found new keywords to put in on my hunt for books. But this one wasn't a tough sell because I'm going to, before I tell you anything, I'm just going to hit you with the short description of Bunny Meets the Craft in the speculative debut about four best friends who perform a ritual on the moon in a last-ditch attempt to hold onto one another, but are forced to reckon with the consequences.
I'm vibing.
Bunny Meets the Craft, but also that description, like you also could have put a Sailor Moon comp in there. Thank you very much. This is We Hexed the Moon, a novel by Molly Hall Seeley. This will be out June 9th. It's the summer after high school graduation, and four island grown best friends are about to be forced apart by their plans for the future, capital P, capital F. Rather than process the world of expectations bearing down on them or the secrets they've kept hidden even from one another, they perform a ritual on the moon in an impulsive fit of teen bravado. They don't expect it to actually work, but suddenly the moon is gone from the sky, and at their sleepover, she's not interested in going back where she came from. As the balmy August night unfolds, the girls scramble to find a human sacrifice to replace the moon before their world is plunged into chaos. Equally tender and biting, We Hexed the Moon is coming of age at its best, cutting to the very quick of girlhood to reveal hilarious and brutally honest insights about friendship, gender, and desire. So again, that is We Hexed the Moon by Molly Hall Seeley, out June 9th.
My first thought is just Sokka going, my girlfriend,
turned into the
moon.
moon. I was racing to get there. You were like, the first thing I could think of, and I'm sitting here is like, my girlfriend turned into the moon. That's
My
rough, buddy.
That's rough, buddy.
That's rough, buddy. Like that. I was sitting as I was like, huh, the moon turned into a girl and showed up at their sleepover. And now they have to find a girl to replace the moon. That's rough, buddy.
That's rough, buddy. That's exactly it.
So, I mean, I get like spec fic is my new into sci-fi. That's been like my recent discovery because it tends to lean into those sci-fi fantasy elements. But to me, honestly, to me,
maintaining a certain level of realism to it as well.
I think speculative fiction is, to me, if magical realism, sci-fi, and fantasy had like a weird baby.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's just me.
I get it.
Maybe I am the weird baby of. Maybe I am spec fic. Anyway.
I love it. Okay, so my next pick is called The Double Dutch Fuss, a memoir by Phil Brandt, which comes out on June 2nd. So this is gay, important to mention. But it's also very much about race and growing up and the experience of being a young Black boy who grows up feminine. Or at least with feminine, interests in a way that made it difficult to experience like gender and sexuality in the world. So long before every moment of our lives was tracked by technology, Phil Branch was under surveillance. His father was a football-playing, weed-smoking army vet, the guy men wanted to be around and women loved. Phil was different. His father treated him as if he were defective and continually searched for proof to support this belief. Phil paid greatly for his failures at boyhood, especially when he was caught playing jump rope with girls. This taught him there were standards to be met, codes that were not to be violated, and strict punishment for any deviation from a Black man's assigned position in the world. In this poignant, illuminating personal narrative, Branch reckons with the patriarchy and tradition of those social structures in Black America, their legacy, and how they molded and silenced him. Taking us from Newark, New Jersey to Los Angeles, California, Branch writes unflinchingly about growing up as the queer Black son of a complicated and often absent father with the rigid ideas of masculinity. So I love books about masculinity because I feel like it's something that isn't talked about as widely as books about things like girlhood, and I understand why, but it is, I think, something that men need to have a conversation about with themselves and with each other. So I especially love from like marginalized groups talking about what masculinity means to them and their experience with it. And this sounds like a really beautiful story about learning to be yourself in a situation where it was really hard to do so. And I love that we're still getting these stories from a lot of different perspectives, because I feel like there's also a conversation about how like we've already had this conversation, but it's always about like white people. It's like white people already talked about this, so there's no need to keep talking about it. And that's not true, because there are other experiences and we need to talk about those too.
Right. There are so many layers to the experience in each representation of culture that there can never quite be enough. Like,
exactly.
This conversation also sounds like a really good fit for, I don't know, like maybe for a daring book club that maybe it's not the specific audience in terms of like, maybe you have a lot of straight people in your audience, and maybe this is the like wake up call to just go, hey, let's think of how these words that I don't know, because some of that experience to me sounds a bit like so many things we say that we aren't thinking of the impact of. And hopefully it can be an opportunity to wake people out of some of those go-to
Mhm.
phrases.
I also feel like it would be a really interesting book club for the
Mhm.
crossover and, like, the
Yeah,
crossover of, like, the queer community and the Black community. So, like, I think white queers should read it. I think straight Black communities should read it. I think those are the 2 groups of people who really would benefit from going through the experience of this book with the author.
absolutely. That's incredible. Like, perfect recommendation.
Mhm.
My next pick is my last, like, explicitly gay, and I just mean that in the sense of, like, gay
Whoa.
book, not content. But this is Girl's Girl by Sonia Feldman. It will be out June 2nd. Summer, I can finally get myself through like a lit fic, and especially if it's going to be a queer lit fic. This is a hypnotic debut about the pivotal summer that shatters the delicate balance between three best friends. 15-year-old Mina's whole world is her two best friends, but after an unexpected kiss, the established dynamics of the trio quickly unravel. Everything that was once shared openly, from clothes to secrets, now feels impossibly fragile. Loyalties shift and tensions simmer across the long days of this pivotal summer, where the girls have nowhere new to go and everything new to feel. Looking back, an adult Mina traces the undercurrents of longing that shaped her first experience of desire. The rituals of girlhood, gossip, selfies, sleepovers, and video games become threads in a delicate, volatile web of intimacy in which everything feels achingly fleeting and permanently etched. Loving one person, Mina learns, can change the way we love everyone else, including ourselves. Both vulnerable and sharply observant, Girl's Girl is a sun drenched and dewy snapshot of modern girl culture set in the blaze of one suburban Midwest summer. So, again, that is Girl's Girl by Sonia Feldman, out June 2nd.
I have to confess, that was my next pick as well.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
No, it's
I
perfect because now we
didn't
can
look at
just
my
talk
own
about it.
notes.
It's perfect because
Ah.
now we both had it at the exact same spot, so we can just
Oh,
chat about
that's
it for a
funny.
second. Yeah. It sounds so good. I feel like those sorts of coming of age lit fic
Mhm.
books are always so impactful, uh, and just, like, beautifully written. So I it sounds like it's really going to hit some amazing notes.
I never get tired of that. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know. There's something about coming of age that I'm a sucker for, but especially a summertime coming of age, and with it going to be June, like I'm thinking of how right the vibes will be, and sitting outside on my little screened in porch, book in hand, just going like, oh, the atmosphere is there.
I think it's because 'cause we're all always coming of age, Joe. We're all
You're
always
right.
growing up.
You're right.
Always
And
growing up, learning
you
and growing.
you're right. And I think now as I get older, I'm even more so a sucker of the second coming of age tales.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
would love to see that version of this, but I'm already like dreaming of the next one.
It's it kind of is both of those things from the description, though, because she's looking back on it, so it's a
Right.
little bit of the story of the actual coming of age and a little bit of that, like, reconciling it and really growing from your new version of self. So, I think my favorite part of the, description was that it changes the way you love other people, including yourself. Like, that to me, I'm like, that is an area of discussion that I would love to read more about.
Yes. The fact that like it's just one of those things that we don't seem to talk enough about. And it'll be
It's hard to
really
put into
exciting.
words too,
Yeah.
so I think that's really impressive that the author's name, so sorry, I forgot.
And I
Sonia
just said it.
Feldman.
Yeah. I was like, I just said it. I'm like, gone.
Sonia Feldman found the right way to say this thing that hasn't really been said, so that's
Right.
really cool and exciting.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
I'll jump forward on my list, and I also that was also my last explicitly gay book, and the rest of mine are going a
Okay,
little bit
phew. Like,
more a
I'm
little
I'm not
bit
the only
more
one.
yeah, I was like, I do have other interests, I swear. Um,
Right. I'm not a monolith.
And it's we're about to become a monolith because mine are all now like spooky scaries for the
Oops,
rest
mine
of
too.
this. So my next one I have is Red X by David Demchuk, which comes out on June 30th. Oh, it is listed as LGBT, but I did stay. I thought I chose it more for the spooky scaries than anything else.
Look at that. Even when we don't try, we still succeed.
I know. Okay, so Red X. In 1984, a young gay man vanishes without a trace, leaving behind a community of friends and lovers desperate for answers. Instead, they face everything from casual indifference to outright prejudice. As decades pass, more men vanish, revealing a terrifying, centuries old demonic presence at the heart of the disappearances. Interspersed throughout, the author shares autobiographical vignettes, his earliest brushes with death and fear, his observations on queer culture and the horror genre, on representation and erasure, culminating in an elegiac and brilliantly woven narrative that blends fact and fiction and has already been heralded as one of the great horror novels of the 21st century. And she's not even out yet. So I'm obsessed with a demonic presence. So that is for me where I just need this is right up my alley for that reason.
I think I'm most curious about the vignettes element. I think something about playing with form always intrigues me in books, but I think that especially of just like putting in autobiographical inserts is very intriguing. And to be this lauded before we're even at pub date, fascinating.
The introduction to this is also written by Gretchen Felker Martin, who
Okay.
is such a huge name in modern horror and queer horror.
Yeah.
So that was what initially like I was like, oh, Gretchen's doing something with this, and then I looked at it and I was like, this sounds amazing.
Right. You're like, oh, Gretchen's here. Oh, just kidding. I need everything about this.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, my next pick, I mean, I don't see it in the description, but if gay sneaks in here, it would make this book even better than the description I've already read. This is Valley of the Moms by Hannah Selinger. It's coming out June 2nd. I'm so sorry, but this looks like beach read perfection to me. It's so summery. Uh, it's Stepford Wives meets Big Little Lies in a twisty thriller that uncovers the truths, petty grievances, and local school politics underneath a seemingly quaint small town. I'm a sucker for all of those words. So we're in Hamilton, Massachusetts. It's one of those suburban towns that appears untouched by the outside world, where stay-at-home moms wear 2-carat diamond studs to the playground, where $1 million property is affordable, and where the parent-teacher organization is a hotbed of controversy. Sure, some people struggle to make ends meet, but residents would say discussing such ugly matters is impolite. Hamilton has been like this forever, and everyone likes it that way. Or almost everyone. It's not that Anna Plummer doesn't like Hamilton, but she never thought she'd be married with 2 young kids, comfortable, complacent, and growing more bored by the minute. So when she realizes her second grader won't be able to attend the Ziti with Your Sweetie school dance because she didn't pay for a premium membership, she snaps. She sends an email to the terrifying president of the PTO, and all hell breaks loose. 1 year later, Anna is found dead in the frozen Ipswich River. Left to pick up the pieces, her husband Denny is shaken to his core. He's no expert, but he's seen enough Dateline to know that the police think he's the main suspect. If they aren't going to get justice for Anna, he will. Told through the alternating perspectives of Anna and Denny exactly 1 year apart, and with a shocking concluding twist, Valley of the Moms is a gripping look at the underpinnings of grief, the social structures of wealth, and the secrets people keep, even among friends and loved ones. So again, that is Valley of the Moms by Hannah Selinger, out June 2nd. Come on.
Very Stepford, very Gone Girl.
Yes.
I'm so that sounds like fun.
This feels like something fresh and new that we've been needing, and I could see this ending up in the list of like thriller books you have to read immediately. Same thing of like you brought up Gone Girl, but the fact that this doesn't have a Gone Girl comp anywhere in it is what actually has me excited. Because half the time when it's like,
that's a good
when
point.
it says the new Gone Girl, you're like, it won't be.
Whatever, yeah.
But okay, good luck. This to me
Yeah.
feels like it could be.
Yes, I love that. I love that. I
Yeah.
think my favorite thing about it is, like, the dual perspective is really interesting because of, one, gender dynamics will be fascinating from this one, but also the parental aspect of, like, a mother versus a father dealing with this situation,
And
and
seeing the
just
father after experiencing intense grief and being
Mhm.
under suspicion, like all of these things, just like
Yeah,
we get to see the mother, Anna, in like
lose it.
best case scenario of her life being in like the ennui malaise of just like, is this what I
Is this
wanted?
really what my life is?
And then murdered after she loses it. And then flip
Mhm.
side, you get the dad trying to like keep it together and
And
solve
solve
this
the
crime.
mystery.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I feel like the Gone Girl comp that I was thinking of here was just that, like, it
Yeah.
was like he's
The
red Gone Girl, and he's like, "That's not what happened here."
exactly. When you brought it up, I was like, no, that's exactly it. It's the this is the world we live in post Gone Girl and everyone knowing about it. Absolutely.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. That sounds really fun.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
It's awesome. My next one looks like it's gonna be a doorstop of a thought process. I'm really excited about it. This might be too fantasy for you, but it's right up my alley. It's called Tillinghast by Claire Kavanagh, and that comes out on June 23rd. So, end of the month. Um, so, a dark and utterly original literary horror debut following a priest whose bloodthirsty life has extended far longer than any mere human's and is upended when a stranger comes to town. Stutley Tillinghast lives a solitary life, ostensibly as the minister of a remote rural parish in Rhode Island. For many decades now, what little human contact he's allowed himself has been brief, frenzied, and bloody, and has always ended in a shallow grave in his cellar. There's a name for what he is, but he prefers not to use it. It is simple enough that he has his needs, and that when they become unbearable, he fulfills them. In his long and lonely life, he has met only one other like him, the woman he still yearns for, and the one who made him what he is. Then, a girl arrives, searching for him. She has his last name and bears an uncanny resemblance to that woman, awakening memories Tillinghast had long suppressed. The connection he feels for her is immediate and overwhelming. She's also sick, very sick, with symptoms Tillinghast recognizes all too well, and only he knows how to cure her. Inspired by real events in the New England vampire panic in the 19th century, Tillinghast is a novel to sink your teeth into. At once a gripping atmospheric horror that turns the classic monster narrative on its head, a literary work of exceptional prose about giving into or resisting our impulses, and a remarkably moving father-daughter story that will leave you unexpectedly hopeful and rooting despite your every instinct for the killers.
I'm ready because if there's one thing I'm sat for, it's a vampire story. So
Right.
that's the time that I get over any kind of reservations I have toward fantasy or sci-fi. I'm like, vampires, check it out.
I'm
Put
in.
put it on my shelf right now, Libby. Thank you.
I'm
Um,
sad.
but as you were going through that, you know, like I love the lead up as they try to be dramatic, and I'm just sitting here going, I know what you are. Say it. Vampire.
Yes.
just
I love
just
it.
just sitting here living Twilight.
Totally,
Um,
totally. Stutley
um,
is just like, I'm not a vampire.
someone somewhere has a counter that they need to reset because I did mention Twilight in this episode. Sorry. Uh,
Beautiful.
my next pick, I
Where the
think
hell you
ties.
been, Loca? Like,
Thank you. Literally wore that shirt to the office yesterday.
beautiful.
Um, my next pick, I think, ties perfectly because it is a psycho retelling, and somehow that works for me. This is Marion by Leah Rowan. It'll be out June 2nd. Love that our hot pub date is the start of the month. It's a fiendishly clever feminist remix of Psycho. Rowan's bold take on Hitchcock's classic benefits from wicked humor, a well-rounded heroine fueled by righteous anger, and a breakneck pace. That is a quote from Publishers Weekly. Norman was her first. Marion is in deep. She's stolen money from the Manhattan ad agency where she works in a desperate bid to help her sister escape an abusive marriage. But as the bus breaks down before she can make it to Saratoga Springs, but the bus breaks down before she can make it to Saratoga Springs. There's a period. It's late at night, and the only place with vacancies is an old set of cabins on the outskirts of town. She pays for a room in cash and ends up chatting with Norm, the young innkeeper, who's handsome, charming, and a touch hung up on his elderly mother. Back in her room, she steps into the shower, scrubbing off the late summer heat, when the curtain is pulled back. Norm Billings is there with a knife. He raises his arm to strike, but before he does, Marion knees him in the balls, grabs the knife, and stabs the life out of him. Now she's covered in blood, and she's a woman on the run. Not just a thief, but a killer too. Where will she go? How will she save both herself and her sister? And what mysteries will she uncover as she does? In Psycho, Hitchcock shocked audiences when he killed off his protagonist. But what if the leading lady had fought back? Marion offers an alternate history of the most famous dead blonde to ever grace the silver screen. Only this time, the knife is in her hands, and she's no victim. I know you won't be able to see it, Kieran, but Andrew, if we can switch to my full screen, I've got a photo of Janet Leigh in my background. The Psycho scene, the shower scene in Psycho. I think it's a perfect movie, and I'm so excited for this book.
That's fun. That's fun.
Yeah.
That's a good twist.
Right?
A good twist on a good twist.
A good twist on a good twist. And honestly, like, you know, I think some people love retellings, some people hate retellings, and some people are indifferent to them. I tend to be indifferent to them. And so when one strikes me like this, it's kind of the like, oh, perfect. All of my things have converged, and this was made for me. So, yeah.
Mine's more of like, why are we doing this retelling? What are we trying to get out of it? And for this one, that purpose is very clear, is we want to say like, okay, what if she did get to have her moment? And like, the twist on the twist is sort of what I'm really enjoying about that as a retelling and as like an adaptation of a story we already know.
Right. To adapt and yeah.
Ask so
I'm
many
here
more
for
questions.
Give
about
us
stories we already have.
Yeah, give us the rage.
Yes. It's like that Anya Taylor-Joy moment. She's like, I have a lot of feminine rage.
Don't we all? Oof.
So this is my last pick. And considering we were talking about early in the month being a hotbed, this is Grief Eater by Emma Osborne, which comes out on June 1st.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, like, we're ready. So, visceral, gritty, and unforgiving, Grief Eater is a zombie story like you've never read before. When Christina rises from her violent death, she's not the same fragile woman her family once abandoned. She's rageful, powerful, and hungry for the blood of the ones who are supposed to love her. With a newfound craving to see vengeance and grief served, she launches into a once-in-an-undead lifetime journey across blood-slicked highways to the scorched Australian bush and her hometown. As her body fails and her mind fractures, she's left with one final question. Is she here to forgive or to feed? A transgressive, gory examination of queer identity and found family, Grief Eater sinks its teeth into trauma and what it means to be devoured by grief.
Ooh, okay.
Rough.
I am not a zombie fan. That's one of my like, no thanks, I don't need it.
Can't handle it. Fair.
Not that I can't handle it. I just don't like it. I don't.
Fair.
I don't respect zombies as a genre. Hot take. I don't. I really don't. I think I say that more toward movies. I think the zombie books I've read, I've liked more. But when it comes to movies, I'm always like, get the zombies out of here. I'm not watching that. That said, this, because it's not about like, this is absolutely a book for me that I'd read because it's not about being a zombie. It's about grief. And shocker, I love books that explore grief.
I think for me, what I like about it from like the specific zombie perspective, it sounds like it's not just like a shambling zombie that's like just walking around doing stuff, but also like she has all of her faculties, but I think I love the fact that she's losing them over time.
Yes.
So like you only have a certain amount of time before you are lost in your grief.
Absolutely.
And how are you going to deal with it?
I think that's also why this one speaks to me, because that is the part that I always find missing from zombie narrative is the like the before infection and the time that it takes to become nothing. But then I also tend to struggle with the like, to continue that, the like, bodies rot. And if they're actively taking
They're actively dead.
If they're actively dead and being taken apart by something that's killing them as a disease, I don't see that as a threat. But maybe it's also like my own medical fears and whatnot. So who knows? It could be I don't like zombies because I'm like, I don't see that happening, or I don't want to see that happening. So
that's fair.
Maybe that's my own reflection to do. But this sounds like that is.
I love
even
a zombie
with all my
metaphor.
hate, I want that. Like I want to read that.
Yeah, I love a zombie metaphor, not necessarily zombie for the sake of zombie, whereas I like vampire for the sake of vampire.
Yes, I like vampire for the sake of vampire and allegory, but zombie, you're right. Good
it needs
call
a good
out.
metaphor.
I can live with it as a metaphor. But speaking of vampires, my last pick, how could I not put this on my list? I always need a YA, and this is so summery. The tagline is, "This time mortality bites back." I cannot wait to read I Am Not a Vampire, parentheses, anymore. This is by Darcy Miller. It will be out June 9th. Being a teenager bites, literally. When a classmate develops a thirst for blood, one girl must confront her secret supernatural past before things turn deadly. Sink teeth into this dark and hilarious YA debut from an award-winning author. So we're getting a YA debut here. Her past is back for blood. My goals for senior year were simple. Find a prom dress I don't hate, spend as much time as possible with my amazing boyfriend Max and my even more amazing best friend Sarita. Maybe try not to flunk history class. My plans did not include babysitting a newborn vampire who happens to be Max's annoying and annoyingly cute buddy Ezra, fighting off my ex-boyfriend, who, did I mention, is immortal, and generally worrying about death and blood and mayhem. Turning human was supposed to mean finally getting a second chance at a normal life. But ever since moving to Sunrise Harbor, Florida, nothing has been normal. What's worse is I actually made friends here, and when my dark past threatens to take it all away, well, being mortal totally sucks. Award-winning author Darcy Miller makes her YA debut in this wisecracking and witty entry that brings new blood to your favorite vampire tropes. So again, that is I Am Not a Vampire Anymore by Darcy Miller, June 9th. Look, boyfriend and I are watching
vampire.
Yeah, my boyfriend and I are watching Buffy right now, so this hits right where I need it to.
That's exactly what I was like. She's been inspired.
Oh, absolutely.
It is very different though, which is cool. Like I love the less Slayer, more actual like vampire perspective. That's really fun.
I love the concept of like, oh no, I got out of the business. like that I want to know how she unbecame being a vampire. Like all of these things. So I think a lot of great questions in there. But yeah.
And just it sounds like fun. It's got like the idea of something being like a campy, wisecracking, but still like in all of the like the horror comedy combo genre is a really special place that like really hits. So.
And I think horror comedy YA hits uniquely as well. So I'm here for it. Yeah. But Kieran, thank you for joining me today and sharing your June book picks and a
Thank you for
May.
Sneaky May. Had to.
Of course. Listeners, don't forget to check out the Queer Liberation Library, the artist known as Quill. All of the links are in the show notes for both the website and the Instagram. Please consider supporting the library and joining if you would love to be a member and access all of those amazing books that Kieran and team make available for y'all. That said, thank you so much for joining us today. Let us know in the comments what books from our lists you're adding to your TBR. And if there are any we didn't bring up that you are eagerly awaiting for in June, put them in the comments on YouTube or Spotify. Thank you so much for joining us today. And as always, happy reading.
Happy reading.
You can sample and borrow the books from today's episode in the Libby app, or if you're a librarian, find them for purchase in Overdrive Marketplace. Book Lounge by Libby is a proud Evergreen Podcast signature program. Explore more amazing shows at evergreenpodcasts.com. This podcast is produced and recorded by me, Joe Skelly, with editing by Andrew Alonso. Our theme music is High Five by Rex Banner, used with permission. Book Lounge by Libby is presented by the Libby app. Learn more at libbylife.com/booklounge.